Hello to everybody. And here weather is very hot. And as I mourned last time, and I'm still mourning, saying it is very hot and muggy. And also with regard to this virus, still fortunately hasn't arrived here. And but as you know, the Indian government is making lots of decisions, and soon this Sunday they will make it. They are going to make a big decisions. I was told that's called, the lockdown version 4, and they said it will be different, but I don't know what kind of different it will be. But that's what they said, and so we are waiting for that. Hopefully, different towards better, not worse. And I'm well. I'm really well, and everything's fine here, apart from a little bit uncertainty, a little bit, not knowing what's going to happen after all those months. But apart from that, it's really all right. So that is my brief report about my situation here. And now we are going to read the text. That's more beneficial. Oh yeah. So I haven't said that much. At the beginning of the class, because this class or this reading, we originally started just to start with blah blah, not very much, as a actual serious class. Can you say that? But it is good to remind ourselves, that it is useful and helpful to set our intention, not only at the beginning of this kind of gathering, but also every day and every moment, if it's possible, to remind ourselves with a positive thought, positive, what you call the intention. That's really important. Then also, people who have taken refuge and they're practicing, cultivation of bodhicitta. Those are the, minds to be forefront of our mental states. Regardless of whatever situation is, there, out there, or in here, but the mind taking refuge and the mind of enlightenment, even if it is very, what you call the very, the deliberately constructed, not very spontaneous, but still it is worth to have those minds. So that is something, to briefly to remind ourselves. So the text that we are reading is composed by Geshe Lama Tsongkhapa, and it seems it was composed on an occasion where him and out of his many students, 8 sort of top students were with him in a place called Olka Valley, where he went with these 8 disciples to do a long retreat. With the advice given by Manjushri. And this text seems composed during those time and it is called close lineage, or the sort of the immediate transmission, or whatever term that we use, close or immediate, in the sense some of the teachings and initiations, particularly this circle of Manjushri, as I mentioned the other day, came straight from Manjushri to this Pao Doje, Lama Tsongkhapa, then Tsongkhapa had received, and in that sense, the close lineage or immediate lineage. That really, on the other hand, long lineage. If people who are familiar with the Lam Rim lineage, then you have long masters of lineage up to Tsongkhapa. So there are these kind of different lineages, where to say close lineage or immediate lineage, that is more direct to the deity, in this case Manjushri, and or sometimes Vajradhara, or distant lineage or long lineage, then coming through the different from the deities, or then Indian Mahasiddhas, Indian masters, then Tibetan teachers coming like that. So that is the text that we are reading, and we finish first 4 verses. And just to briefly remind ourselves again, first 3 verses are, Tsongkhapa is paying homage first to the Vajradhara, second to Manjushri, third in this case, Lama Tsongkhapa Pao Doje. So then the verse 4 is explanation of the root guru or the teacher, and that is the verse 4, and that is something for people who are already have taken teachings that from certain people that you have considered as your teacher, and also receive Vajrayana teachings, initiations, instructions. Then how to keep, how to develop, how to build, how to nurture, the constructive relationship, connection, and through that, to benefit to ourselves. Not really benefit to those teachers. It is to benefit to ourselves. Building or cultivating that kind of relationship. And here, what he said is, in a translation, effortless devotion towards my master most kind. So devotion, or the mugu, which I mentioned in Tibetan, there are 2 words which both have slightly different meaning, in terms of the mentally how we associate with our spiritual teacher. That is the admiration, nirva, and the kuba, respect. And here the translated devotion. And that can be looked at as a devotion, but sometimes devotion, that term carries a little bit, the misleading, elements. And in here in Tibetan, effortless admiration and respect. And as I mentioned the other day, which is important, once again briefly to say, the admiration or aspiration when we see the qualities of the teacher. Without seeing the qualities of the teacher, not just, which will come a little bit later, not just how many followers or how many motorcade, what's called cars, or how high thrones, or how fancy hats, or how many instruments on the table, or how strange, or how sort of those colorful robes. Not in that way. The admiration when we see the what you call those great qualities, compassion, altruism, those when we see, and then respect. When we see when we have the admiration, due to seeing the understanding the qualities of our teachers, naturally respect will come naturally. We don't have to train very much to have respect. These to have a strong connection. So that is the verse which we already covered. The next verse 5, we finished the first 2 lines. And this verse is mainly, making ourselves ready to spiritual seeker, to be a spiritual seeker, to be a follower of the teachings of the Buddha. And as I mentioned the other day, this fertile field, that making ourselves fertile field to grow the compassion, love, the altruism, wisdom, realizing emptiness, which are taught by those great teachers to cultivate. And that is this verse 5 is. And the first 2 lines, which we look at, the several different important mental states, attitudes that we should have. The less that kind of wanting, less desire to the meaningless affairs, meaningless activities, and meaningless things. Less desire to those samsaric things, and have contentment. What do you have? Contentment, and also sense of joy. When we are able to experience contentment, what we have got, then there will be a tremendous sense of joy. When we are unable to appreciate, unable to experience contentment, what we have got, there will be no joy, no matter how much we have. We can tell from our experience. And then Shijindoa, peace, and then also, have ability to discipline our body actions of body, speech, and mind. And then also have a, sincere, genuine sort of yearning towards liberation, towards enlightenment, towards cultivation of bodhicitta, towards cultivation of love, altruism, and that is here. And Songporma, very honest in speech, or truthfully, So those are the which we already explained. Then the next 2 lines, in Tibetan, Payo Tok Benjinji, Tangang Chome Gyawar Jinjigo. So, the Pagyu, conscientiousness, that kind of very, the fully aware of what is really taking place in our minds, what is really taking place in our actions, what is really going on around us. And that is here conscientiousness, Pagyu. In Tibetan, there is this Pagyu has a connotation of very careful, the sort of manner, not stepping everywhere. That has a, in generally, when you see a person, sitting in somewhere very relaxed and very, content, then the Tibetan may say, "Oh, Park trouble." That means very relaxed and very. So that is really here, Pagu. And here translated and practiced in awareness. Practice in awareness. In other words, this, sometimes these two are interchangeable. Mindfulness and conscientiousness. They have a slightly different functions. The different teachers have explained different. For example, if you read the Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life, sometimes these two are overlapped, sometimes have slightly different functions, mindfulness and conscientiousness. But overall, in here is really that have the ability to see, understand, feel, experience what is going on internally and externally. And that is here. Same time, not to panic. No. For me, sometimes I panic. Lots of things happening here. Oh, lots of things happening. Hold my breath. So not panic. That's important. And the Tokchok Tenjichin, here translated is reliant upon the best of friends. That is really it's a good translation. I think a literal translation too. The sort of, and also it has a little bit of connection to the next line too. That when we build our friendship, the majority of us, building our friendship, although we may say verbally it is sort of mutual benefits, it is mutual sort of, benefits, usefulness. But in the deep down, if you look at it, may not be mutual benefits. It might be more benefit to myself. If that's not benefiting anymore to me, then mutual benefit is already gone. It is out of the window. Friendship is gone. And so not in that case, not in that way, really. And also, the Tokchok, that here translated best of friend. In the teachings, quite often, this point is raised, saying having a good friendship, or that people that you associate, is very important for your spiritual journey too. Whether they are your teacher or not, but people that you associate. And it is not saying people who disagree your spiritual belief, your whatever, discard them or ignore them. It is not really the point. Point is, to build a constructive and connection. That's also important as a follower. So the Tangnam, and here translated saying of pure view, it has that kind of meaning. It has that kind of meaning that sometimes it's Tangnam also refers to pure vision. Some of those great teachers have pure vision. The vision of deity is a vision of things which are not polluted by the. That is also called in Tibetan Tangnam. Takpa Nawa. Takpa is pure. Nawa is vision. Tangnam. But here the pure view, in the sense and translate here pure view, and in Tibetan Taknang, so the can be, the point here, pure view in the sense, the chongme that related to the next line, next word in Tibetan, chongme, unbiased, that kind of attitude, that kind of, the connection, relationship. And chongme, here it's put it saying, pure view that falls not to bias. So those are something important. And these are mainly the mental quality or attitudes that we need to build, that we need to nurture to become a follower of teacher, follower of great teachers, like the Buddha and subsequent. Like, for example, in the Lam Rim, when we, after explaining the qualities of the teachers, then Geshe Tashi Tsering explained quality or features of the disciple. And there are several, but most important, he pointed out 3 important points, I think, based on one of the quotation. Sunne londe tönyerwa. So those 3. Sunne lo subu neva. That means unbiased. Sunne. Lo then, have the ability to make the right judgment, or have the good intelligent capability. Lo then tönyerwa. That is now earlier that we see, the saying the sincere quest for freedom. That is tönyerwa. You really, you have a sincere yearning for the liberation, for the, the enlightenment, for the bodhicitta, so those are the 3 qualities as a follower of the teachers, spiritual teachers. And that's what Geshe Tashi clearly pointed in Lam Rim. Unbiased, have the good intelligence, and the yearning. Unbiased in the sense, I want to hear these things which are like it, which sometimes have a difficulty in the West. Don't want to hear the death, don't want to hear suffering, don't want to hear actual samsaric challenges, want to hear all the blissful. Do you agree or not? I don't know. I might be biased too, again here. So that is important in terms of as a spiritual seeker, in this case, follower of the Buddha, follower of, say, the Geshe Tashi, then it is good to have the ability to listen, ability to, to listen the teachings, what they give. Of course, we should, digest, contemplate, analyze. And that's the process. But not to close our ears right at the beginning. Don't want to hear these are painful, or don't want to hear these are very, unpleasant. Not in that way. And this is what I've noticed, when we talk about the blissful, some exotic, some, the visions and the dream, and I remember one time, can't remember, it's quite some time ago, one time, arranging, not in London, somewhere, arranging the topic of the class that I'm going to teach. And the person who is arranging that, I said I'm going to briefly, that was just, I think we can talk about Four Noble Truths. Oh, no, Geshe. Suffering is not the subject I want to hear. So, not in that sort of things. And also, unbiased in the sense, I like this teacher, I like those, that sort of, not in that. Sort of really, so never. Stay in the middle. Not biased. That doesn't mean you can see what is not in like a zombie style when you say unbiased. Of course, you have the full knowledge. So those are the three important, and this is what also more or less we can see in here, all those three, qualities. So that is verse 5, and which is important. Last time I didn't finish that. I thought it's good too, because quite often we talk about the qualities of the teachers, and that is good. That is good. That is important. But we don't talk that much about qualities of ourselves as a student. What kind of quality, what kind of features mentally that we should have as a spiritual seeker, as a follower of the teacher, Buddha, and subsequent Buddhist teachers. And if you don't examine that, or if you don't prepare that, then it is one hand. Even the teacher or teachers have the full enlightened qualities, if there's nothing there to communicate. The other day, I'm briefly touched on those analogy of those three pots. Pots which filthy, pot which hasn't got bottom, pot which is, upside down, and those are also really important ourselves. So this is something. Now then, the next verse is just a summary. The verse 4 is talking about, explaining about, the teacher, that home that we should, cultivate admiration, respect, and so forth, after we established the relationship. And then ourselves as a follower. The next verse 5, ourselves as a follower. What are the features or what kind of attitude, mindsets that we should have to make this work, to make this work. So that is the verse we just finished. Then the verse 6 is really, we will not spend that much time, because this is here more or less we have, touched several times in our previous reading. And also I referred to one of Geshe Tsongkhapa's another text, short text, what you call the three principal aspect. And here now is how to cultivate if you want to depart. If I want to depart towards liberation, the certain things I should change some of my, not just my way of thinking, also my entire, who I am, what I have, all those things, and changing that is not easy. So then, the reality of death is certain. Time of the death is, when it's going to come, is uncertain. That reality, contemplation on that reality, then build this, lifestyle, technically called renunciation, renounce, in the sense, to slowly but surely to keep distance, slow down those, not very concording with what you are aiming for. Not very, not good match. That's what you are aiming for. We are aiming for liberation, and what we have got, the mindset, behaviors, all the things around us, something which not very concording with what we're aiming, then we have to change that. And that's what here this verse is talking about. Now then here, once again here, it seems to me, what Geshe Tsongkhapa is, in this particular verse, he is more or less, I think, expressing his own, what you call the situation, his own situation. What he said in here, bless me that I develop in all naturalness, a sense of urgency with regard to time, and utter disregard for fame and fortune. This is what I'm talking about. That arises from honestly contemplating upon death's inevitability and its unannounced arrival. But it is quite something for me, not easy to say those words, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'll go with the Tibetans, easier. So the first line is saying, death is definite, when it's going to come is uncertain. Death is definite, never definite, when it's going to come is uncertain. Sixth member, this is important one. Sixth member, that reality, the reality of death is definite. Time of the death is undefinite, uncertain. That is not in a just verbal blah blah, which I'm doing, but it must be from our heart. That understanding, the knowing, the feeling, that should be deep down, what in English called gut feeling. The gut feeling, not just words. In Tibetan, here it is mentioned very nicely. Siktsam member. Tene means remind, recall. Death is definite. Time of the death is indefinite. That shouldn't be in a verb, just mere verbal expression. It should be from our gut feeling, deep understanding, realization. Tene, long meba. That literally means there's not much time to waste. There's not much time to do meaningless activities. Long meba. That is Tibetan word, siktsam member, tene. When you really feel that reality, that is definite, time of the death is indefinite. When you really, that reality feels from your heart, from the gut, then, there isn't that much time to just waste or time to do so those, the meaningless affairs. 10, remember, 10, long meba. Then next line 3. Ni guru chela tingne shenlo de. Ni guru, that is the here translated, fame and fortune. Fame and fortune. Ni guru. In other words, sometimes nyeba is wealth, and kurte is some kind of honor, wealth and honor or fame, and the what you call the nyeba, the fortune that translated here. So why I'm saying that is because Geshe Tsongkhapa, when you read his biography now, very nicely written by Jimba, compared to today's, his lifespan is not that. He passed away when he was 64, a very young man, according to that these days, particularly from the Western point of view. The other day I was talking to my brother. I have 4 brothers now, including myself, and there's this brother who is also monk in Geshe, and he came to UK for 1.5 months or 2 months. He stayed with us, and he noticed, he experienced, while he was traveling in the buses, and one day he tried to support an elderly man when he, getting off from the bus. He tried to give his hand, and this elderly man said, no, 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 no. So he said, that is the culture difference. In here, in Tibetan community, if you see an elderly man or woman, if you give a hand, they will say, oh, thank you, put entire their weight on you, and then they will. But in the West, no, 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 thank you. So that's the thing. Anyway, what I'm saying there. Oh yeah, that's culture. So that is really something different. Why? Because Geshe Tsongkhapa, if you read that, he hardly spent whole year in one place. Move to one place, to another place, because his fame, his qualities attract people to come and see, and offer things, and that he doesn't like, and that's why he moved from one place to another place, to not to have that kind of attraction and bringing people. And this is what I'm thinking about in general. But it is also very, very important for all of us, and all of us, this, to not to attach, not to crave, not to cling on fame and wealth. Although we may say, oh, I'm not craving to fame. Who knows who I am and who cares? But that kind of mind is very easy to creep in. So, so from the depth of the heart, completely develop feeling of repulse, feeling of dislike towards fame and wealth. So that's to see these, able to see these don't have any sort of meaning, any kind of purpose, long term, purpose or meaning, and may I able to cultivate that kind of to have that kind of mindset or mentality. So that is this verse that we are reading, verse 6. Okay, that's the end of today's reading. So we'll do a short Thara prayer. so Padang Hami Jubin, Shabji Pemo La Dude, Pumba Kunan, Dome Yumla Chase, Om Je Tse Ma Pama Drama La Chase, Chase Drama Nyuma Pamo, Chine Keji Loda, Chite Sungwen Chuji, Kasar Chiwa Mane, Chase Tonge Dawa Kun Do, Kawa Dene Tsikbe, Kama Tonda Tsoba Namanji Rapto Cheve, Chase Sengwe Chune Je, Beme Chane Nabarge, Jimba Zundu Kadu Shi, Wan Soba Samden Chu, Chase Tishin Shefe Zo, Taye Nabar Kyo, Malu Baro Jimba Tobe, Jave Seji Shingo, Chase Duda Rahun Yege, Duda Choda Nabar, Jide Dombo Shabi Nende, Lupa Meba, Changze Gejin Mela, Zangba Lungla Natso, Chombo Rana Tisa Namanda, Nujun Soji, Changze Teje Chadang Peji, Paro, Chuku Rambo, Egun Yunjan Shabi Nende, Mebar Chuban Shindo, Changze Turi Jiba Chenbo, Digi Pao Nambar, Chuji Shene, Chunye Den, Ze Tao, Tamje Manu, Changze Kunjo, Sumzen Chaje, Seme Toga Nambar, Malu Choji, Kolo Jembe, Rangi Veji Song, Changze Rabdo Kawanji, Udin Veji Chengwa, Shiva Raji, Duda Rayi, Dudan Jiden Wandu, Changze Sashi Kyungwe, Tso Nama Tamje Gupa Chonye Yewa Yige Hongi, Tongba Tamje Nambar, Changze Dawe Tongbo O Jen, Jenba Tamje Shindo Bara, Debe Chene Weba Me, Tabara Shindo Rose, Changze Kebe Tama Me, Tara Barwe Chenwe Wene, Yejan Yungum Kune, Koro Ke Dae Kone Nabar, Changze Sashi Ngola Chage, Teki Niji Jagwe, Chonye Jenze Yige Hongi, Rimba Jumbo Namige, Changze Dema Gema Shima, Yangen Deshin Chu, So Om Dayanda Dembe, Tikwa Chenbo Jumba, Changze Kune Korva Kawe, Chayi Lune Nabarage, Yige Chube Ngane Kobe, Tikwa Hongle Dromani, Changze Turi Shani Dabe, Honge Nabe Sabi, Rera Menda Ratang Beje, Jiden Sumna Yawa, Changze Hai Tsoye Nambe, Rita Tajen Chana, Tara Niju Beji Yege, Duna Malu Kwanese, Changze Hai Tsanam Jebo, Changze Hai, Changze, yeah, Changze Hai Tsanam Jebo, now I lost. Changze Lai Sonam Jebo, Lada Mim Jedem, Gune Goja Gawa Jege, Zeda Milam Yamba Sem, Changze Nima Dawa Jebe, Jinye Bola Sem, Hara Niju Duda Rai, Shindo Chakwe Rim Sem, Changze Tini Sumnam Gobe, Shive Tudan Yamba Dem, Duda Rola Niju Zo Nama Jumba Ture Razo, Sawe Ngaji Deba Dida, Chanze Wane Nishu Za. Chanju Senjo Rinpoche, Maje Panama Jejuj, Jeba Nyamba Meba Ya, Kone Kondo Pewa Sho, Kare Rave Korwe Shingam, Pendan Dewa Manu Chum. Jenre Senwa Tenzin Jazoi Shabe Side Pado Tenju Che. Oh yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And some of you know, some of you don't know. A few days ago, one of my best friends and great supporters, Mary Curtin, who taught me English all those years, uh, and she passed away. And some of people who are watching, viewing this video may know her. And please say some prayers, her to find a next precious human life, and to continue her all those amazing good qualities and spiritual journeys that she had started to continue. So do some prayers for Mary. Very, very fine, generous, good person. For many years, I have so many no's she took. When I was leading classes in Jamia, she would sit in the behind and she would, take notes. First, she will take my broken English, then she will make correction, her perfect Irish accent, and just amazing person. But now passed away, and so say some prayers. Okay, I will see you next time. Thank you.